Hello and welcome to 365 Astronomy. I'm John, I act as an advisor for 365 Astronomy, and today in this short video I'm going to be showing you a rig that I use for deep sky imaging. Okay, let's start by looking at the mount. In this case it's a Skywatcher AZ-GTi mount, which is normally an alt-azimuth mount, but here we can see it set up as an equatorial by using new firmware from Skywatcher. As you can see, it has a counterweight system to balance the possibly up to 5 kilo weight limit on the mount itself. The mount has built-in batteries. It takes 8 AA batteries, and this provides the power. We can also power it from an external supply, 12 volt supply if required. The mount itself gives out a Wi-Fi hotspot, so it's perfect for setting up with a Android app or iOS tablet. I use an Apple iPad and it allows me to use it remotely. Now we're looking at the equatorial wedge, which in this particular case is a William Optics wedge. Very strong, and also has very good precise controls for setting it up for polar alignment. Now we can see it set up with the imaging train on top, and I shall go through some of the components of this with you. First of all, we see the William Optics RedCat 51, which is a quadruplet f4.9 250mm focal length astrograph. The RedCat 51 is an extremely sharp lens. It's often used as a telephoto lens by wildlife photographers. It's 250mm focal length, f4.9 astrograph, and as you can see, it has at the front here a Bahtinov mask built in to allow for very precise focusing on the stars. By use of this mask, you can produce a diffraction pattern which you adjust the focus until it's perfectly sharp. Because we don't want to touch the lens in any way while we're shooting, and if we have to focus it manually, that could be a problem and cause shake. Therefore we use a motor drive to adjust the focuser remotely. In this particular case it's a ZWO EAF, which is set up with a specially made bracket which allows it to adjust the focus very precisely and remotely. There's a band fitted around the outside of the lens, as you can see. The next component in the system is a ZWO Electronic Filter Wheel. In this particular case it's a 5-position filter wheel, which again can be controlled remotely to change the filter selection. In this particular case I have a one-shot color camera set up on here, and therefore I use an Optolong L-enhanced filter which isolates to 3 of the main bands, which are hydrogen alpha, oxygen 3 and sulfur 2. Zoltan in one of the other videos explains this a little bit better and in more depth. The other filter I use in this particular setup is a L-extreme filter, again by Optolong. This again only isolates 2 of the bands, hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3. Very good for light pollution control, which we suffer from very badly down. Moving further back in the imaging train, here we are showing a ZWO tilting unit. Now, there's no way that when you're imaging and putting all these components together, they screw together generally, but you often get slackness, you often get tilt, and this compensates very, very well for that. The astrograph itself produces an extremely flat field, but I did notice in one of the corners I had a very, very slight coma, and this corrected it perfectly. And finally, in the imaging train, we have, in this particular case, a ZWO ASIAIR camera. It's a cool camera, it's a CMOS camera, and it's a one-shot color. And it produces very, very good images. It's about 9 megapixels in resolution, and I cool it to about -10, although the system can allow it to cool as far as -30. We're now moving around the system a bit further, and we can see the small second guiding camera and guiding scope. This is a ZWO F30 30mm aperture guiding telescope, and behind it we have a ZWO 290mm Mini guiding camera. This allows for very precise corrections to be paid to the mount. We now come to the heart of the system, the ASIAIR PRO by ZWO. This is a Raspberry Pi based version 4 mini computer. It has built-in applications to control the mount, to control guiding, control the main camera, filter wheel, focuser, and also provide plate solving and live stacking in the latest firmware. Here we can see that it has 4 output ports, 12-volt output ports, to provide power for equipment. I only use 2 of these at the moment, but as you can see there are 4. I use one to control the cool camera and one to control the motor focuser. But should I want to, I could use one to control the mount, power the mount, and also to power a view control of some sort.